Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today we are doing breaches of the week. It's not Sunday, it's Monday the day after, but due to obligations, I was not able to do this video and podcast yesterday, and so let's dive into last week's breaches. Now, as always, I'd like to thank the following people that sent me a lot of this information. It always helps me out, and that is Jason Dance, Chris Fallon, Barrett Peterson, Corey Pilkington, and Jacqueline Wolf. Thank you very much. And if you have a tip for me, please feel free to send it my way, and I will give you a shout out here and on my nationally syndicated radio show as well. And with that, let's start with Kronos. They're the HR management platform, and they are large. They got hit with a ransomware attack. Customers got accessed, etc., etc. It is a mess. Now, UKG, who's Kronos' parent company, said that basically vital services will be out for quote-unquote several weeks, and they urged their customers to, quote, evaluate and implement alternative business continuity protocols related to the affected UKG solutions. Basically, go somewhere else. That's how I'm reading that. Now, Kronos' work management software is used by tons of major corporations, including local governments, enterprises, etc., etc. The city of Cleveland, for example, has declared Tesla, Temple University, Winthrop University Hospital, Clemson University, and the UK supermarket chain, which is large, Sainsbury's, all have been affected by Kronos. Obviously a massive, massive problem. Hopefully they'll get that under control. Moving on, let's talk about the Oregon Anesthesiology Group. They suffered a ransomware attack in July that led to the breach of sensitive employee and patient information. Now, we are talking about the information of about 750,000 patients and 522 current and former employees. In a statement, the company said that they were actually contacted by the FBI on October 21st, and the FBI explained that it seized an account that contained OAG patient and employee files from Hello Kitty, which is a uranium ransomware group. I've dealt with those guys before. There you go. So if you are a patient or former or current employee of Oregon Anesthesiology Group, OAG, you might want to check in. Moving on. Let's talk about Superior Plus. They're an oil and gas supplier from the United States, and they basically became one of the latest victims of a ransomware attack, and here we are. So they supply propane and other things, and obviously that has been disrupted. Now, this happened on December 12th of this year. Superior Plus serves about 780,000 customers in the United States and Canada, with support of basically of 4,200 staff members, and they have not yet revealed the ransomware gang that hit them, but after Colonial Pipeline, it looks like they are the second major supplier to get hit, obviously nowhere near Colonial Pipeline's size. Moving on, the credit card information of 1.8 million people were stolen from various sporting websites that are all owned apparently by the same company. So, if you have visited tacklewarehouse.com for all your fishing gear needs, or Running Warehouse for obviously running apparel, or Tennis Warehouse for tennis apparel, or Skate Warehouse, all of these are tennis. Well, tennis is tennis-warehouse.com. The others are Skate Warehouse, Running Warehouse, and tacklewarehouse.com respectively. You may be hit. Now, this has happened on November 29th, and it included full name, financial account number, credit card number with the 3-digit code, same with debit card 3-digit code, and your password on that website. So heads up to you, shoppers of those sites. Moving on. Let's talk about Hellman Worldwide Logistics. They had a cyber attack on December 9th, and I quote, "We are currently investigating what type of data was extracted and will proactively provide further information as soon as possible." They said this on the 16th. Quote again, "We are in regular contact with relevant government authorities. When I have more, I'll let you know." They're a $2.5 billion logistics company worldwide, servicing something like 160 countries, so that's a huge thing. Moving on. Let's talk about Mozilla Firefox, because they fixed an issue in its Firefox browser where usernames and passwords were being recorded in the Windows Cloud clipboard feature in basically what the organization categorized as a severe security risk, that could have exposed credentials to non-owners whenever users copied or cut a password. Now, this was fixed in Firefox version 94. I'm a little under the weather today. They released that version last month, but it was detailed more in depth this past week by Mozilla developers. Now, at its core, this bug is related to Windows Cloud Clipboard, which is a feature that was added in Windows 10 in September of 2018. That's the 1809 release. A feature that allows users to sync their local clipboard history to their Microsoft accounts. The feature is disabled by default, but once enabled, it allows users to access a cloud clipboard section by pressing the Windows V shortcut. Essentially, what happens is, if you copy this to your cloud clipboard, all of your synchronized devices can see this, and you see where we're going with this. If you've synchronized that to the cloud and you're copying and pasting a password in that manner, here you are, you're actually moving it to the cloud in plain text for everybody to see. Mozilla has fixed that problem in their browser. Moving on. Let's talk about Slack, the messaging platform, because a suspected Iranian state-supported threat actor is deploying a newly discovered backdoor known as A-Clip that abuses the Slack API for covert communications. Now, this threat actor started in 2019. They targeted an unnamed Asian airline to steal flight reservation data using this methodology, and according to a report by IBM Security X-Force, that's their basically their threat intelligence research division, the threat actor is likely ITG17, also known as Muddy Water, a very active hacking group that maintains basically targets against organizations worldwide. And so, if you have a problem with this or you use Slack, right now, what you can do is you can limit Windows PowerShell and restrict Windows Remote Management Service as well. You can also set up Yara rules to detect malicious scripts in PowerShell and all of that. There's no actual API fix that I could find, so heads up Slack users if you're leveraging that API for other things. And finally, and this is kind of a shorter week, but like I said, I went looking for these things. I just didn't have time to do this yesterday though, but here we are. We've got a couple of finalies for you. The first one is the United Kingdom National Crime Agency, because they just shared a collection of more than 585 million compromised passwords that they found during an investigation with Have I Been Pwned. That's the website where you can go punch in your email address and see what data breaches you're part of. Now, the NCA, or National Crime Agency, became the second law enforcement agency to officially supply Have I Been Pwned with hacked passwords after the United States' FBI began a similar collaboration back in May. And in a blog post by Have I Been Pwned creator Troy Hunt, and I had the honor of being his warm-up act at Sockstock earlier this year, Troy Hunt said that 225 million of the compromised passwords found by the NCA were new and unique. Holy cow. Now, these passwords have been added to a section of Have I Been Pwned called Pwned Passwords. This section allows companies or organizations and system administrators to check and see if their current passwords have been compromised in hacks, and if they are likely part of a public list, or threat actors can use this for things like credential spraying and all that kind of stuff. So you might want to go check that out. Currently, Have I Been Pwned's password collection is 5.5 billion entries strong, of which 847 million are unique. All of these passwords are also available as a free download, so companies can check their passwords against the data set locally without actually connecting to basically Have I Been Pwned. So heads up to you, when we have 225 million new and unique compromised passwords that have never been seen before on sites like Have I Been Pwned, that's obviously a huge, huge thing. You might want to go check in and make sure you are not one of those people. And finally, we need to do an update on Log4j, because this continues to be a hot mess overall. And so here are some interesting updates that have happened in the last 7 days or so. Google's open source team said that they scanned Maven Central, which is today's largest Java package repository, and found that 35,863 Java packages were vulnerable to versions of the Apache Log4j library. This includes basically Java packages that use Log4j versions that were vulnerable to the original Log4Shell exploit back earlier in 2021, and then the second remote code execution bug that was discovered later this year in 2021. And that was the one that was kind of like the bomb dropping. Now, basically, this community, Maven Central, has responded positively, and they've already fixed 4,620 of the 35,863 packages found vulnerable. So they're working on it. They're about 13% done. Now, that was as of 3 days ago, December 17. So I'm hoping that they are well beyond 13% as they continue to go through and update all of these Log4js. Also, as of 2 days ago, Log4j 2.17 was released, which was super frustrating, because when the bomb dropped with the remote code execution, the fix was to upgrade to 2.15, And then we found that had a denial of service vulnerability, so we all had to upgrade to 2.16. And then we found out 2.16 also was susceptible to denial of service attacks. And so here we are now deploying 2.17, and Lord knows what they're going to find in that and upgrade. This is just crazy old code that I think, they're just hammering it out as they go along. Also, we have reports now that Log4Shell, that's the attack, are now being abused by nation-state sponsored actors from China, Iran, North Korea, and Turkey. Also, so for example, known threat actors linked to Log4Shell includes Phosphorus out of Iran, Hafnium out of China, and others. Also, the Conti ransomware gang, which is one of the largest ransomware gangs out there, became the first professional ransomware operation to adopt and incorporate Log4Shell vulnerability attacks into their daily operations. So this isn't going away anytime soon. And finally on this, we actually have victims that are now starting to come forward. And these are large organizations, namely governments at the moment. But like I had with the Blackbaud breach and all these other breaches like Kaseya, as these companies start reporting, I will keep continuing to update you every week on breaches of the week. We're not going to stop even on the Christmas weekend. Now, with that, three victims that came out in this past week, and I'm sure there are more, but these are the ones I could find, were the Belgium Ministry of Defense. Part of their network basically was a victim of this, and it was exploited, as well as the provincial government of Quebec in Canada, and also the national government in Ottawa, Canada, that obviously runs Canada. And we were talking about thousands of basically infrastructures and locations that are susceptible to Log4Shell vulnerability. So obviously that's a huge problem that continues to dominate the cybersecurity news when it comes to actual vulnerabilities and exploits, and everybody's hacking everybody these days. So here we are. The other thing too, as we are coming into essentially Christmas Eve on Friday here on this side of the planet, as well as Christmas on Saturday, or Thursday and Friday if you're on the other side of the world, we are going to see, as we always do, basically when nobody's watching the barn and you're enjoying Christmas with your family, or you simply have the day off, even if you don't celebrate Christmas, nobody's at work, that's when basically everybody strikes. And I would like 1 year where I'm not getting some kind of frantic phone call from somebody that is getting hit. So please make sure you're watching the barn. If you've got those SIMs out there, the Security Information Event Management Solutions, make sure that somebody's watching the barn as we go through this holiday season between what's upcoming to Christmas through New Year. It really behooves us not to make sure that we are not maintaining our vigilance. We've got to be vigilant. And so those were your breaches of the week. Were you affected? Thanks to Log4Shell, odds are you were. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please stay private. Thanks, everyone.